All right. Hello. Welcome. We're going to talk about net play tactics today. It's me, Bill Patton, and I'm at the very end stages of preparing a book on net play. And I'm not going to share the title with that yet, but um, let me know if you want an advanced copy and you will make an ironclad commitment to giving me an executive review. And if your review is selected, it will appear in the book. That'll be awesome. All right. So I want to preface today's talk with the idea that this is kind of dangerous in that I know some people might listen to this and immediately jump out and go, oh, I'm going to start doing blank that, right? Or I'm going to do all of it. Right. Oh, and in honor of Brandon Tanev, who's been pretty seriously injured. Look up Brandon Tanev, and you'll see what I mean. He's a hockey player, but I'm a big fan of his headshots that he does for the team. But anyway, that's no extra charge there. All right, so what we're gonna do, you have to be careful with this because I don't want you to all of a sudden just start doing something new. I don't want you to all of a sudden do 3 or 5 or all of these things all at once. Take a little time with it, but I just want to kind of give you a teaser, a taste of what to look forward in the book. But there's a tremendous amount of buildup because this is a very late chapter that I'm going to share. So, and this is by no means exhaustive. In fact, if you have a tactic for getting into the net that you would like to share with me, I will gladly give you credit for that. All right, but here's what I have so far. And this is going to come with diagrams, but for now, I have this. Is that the right way? Should do it like that. Yeah, I think that's okay. A little shiny. It's a little shiny, but if I go like that, oh yeah. All right. So this is in order some tactics and from like most common to maybe should be the most common. All right. But, if you're over here serving in the deuce court and you serve wide, right, then it pulls the player over there and then they come and they hit this way, and then you volley there. That's a really good one. So serve wide or to the corner. All right, now a little aside. One thing I teach is 4 different serve locations. So there's tee, there's body, there's corner, and there's wide. So corner gives you something a little different. Wide, pulls players off the court more. But corner gives you a little more depth. Doesn't pull the player quite off the court quite as much, but you can hit the ball harder and you can keep them deeper with the corner ball. So 4 different serve locations. Or wide, pull the player over, volley to the opposite side. So like, for instance, John McEnroe, in the year that he, I think he only lost 1 match, or maybe it was only 3 matches, something like that. He had a great year, right? And then Djokovic presumably, eclipsed that. I don't know. I'm not going to argue about that stuff. But lefty John McEnroe would hit this wicked slice serve that would be pulling people way off the court, get them all the way up here, and then he would volley there, leaving people pretty helpless. So it's the same thing on the other side, just for a lefty. And that year he won 81% of the break points against him. Right? So imagine that. You have break point against McEnroe, and he's going to hit that lefty slice. and you know you're going to be all the way over there on an island, and you know that he's going to volley cross court. All right. So the next one is to serve to the tee and then make your next volley behind the player over there. That can be really effective because it's tight space and it makes the person turn and have to hit, either from their backhand to their forehand all of a sudden or vice versa. So, it's a different play, and it's not something that people talk about a lot, is serving to the tee and then volleying behind the player. All right. And then, one thing that's interesting about when you serve to the body and then the player has to get out of the way or they're jammed, it's really hard to come up with what's the next play, because if you've effectively jammed the player and hit into their body, then they're going to be actually fairly unpredictable with where they're hitting to. And they might also recover strangely based on where their ball went to. So, they might just barely reflex the ball and then just barely trickles over the net. So you're, in a fairly disadvantaged situation. So you have to play that next ball as an approach shot, right? Or, they might hit it over there and you might actually go, they might hit a ball like right over here, right? And so then you're going to go for an angled winner with a ground stroke. I mean, you have to be ready for a lot of different things when you serve to the body. Probably the most common thing that happens if you serve it well and get it in on them is that they're going to hit the ball up in the air. So be ready to take a ball out of the air and, hit to the opening that you have there. If you're not in a situation where you can hit, a really strong offensive volley that might be a winner or force an error, then it's really a good idea to take the next ball, and whether it's a half volley or, a full on, out of the air volley, then, use that as a second approach shot. And so go and hit that down the line deep, and that can really help you get going there. All right. So those are just 3 serve and volley tactics. There are more, but I'm not here to be completely exhaustive. Now let's talk about the return game. And my good friend who recently passed and unfortunately did not get to go to his memorial, he was talking about how one of his big things was, why don't people return and come to the net more? So, so I think one thing to keep in mind is that every serve has to land in front of the service line. And many second serves are very attackable. So you've got an automatic short ball by rule. And so why not hit that approach shot up the line, right? And then, maybe even be ready to hit another volley up the line before going for the cross court winner. All right. So this is one of the rules of thumb. So a little digression for a moment. One of the old-timey good rules of thumb is don't go cross court with your volley unless you're very confident that it's going to be a winning volley, right? Because if you approach there, right, and then you're set up here, and then you volley there, then you've got this width that you've got to cover. So, funny story. So I took over a high school team that 3 big academies in the Bay Area were represented at this high school. So everybody pretty much went to an academy in Silicon Valley, right? So So anyway, so I had that. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do with these kids, right? So anyway, so I started with, hey, it doesn't matter where you go to your academy. It doesn't matter if you beat you at a tournament somewhere over there. All that matters to me is what you do right here. I mean, that's it, right? So, so I was like, all right, guys, let's see what you can do. Come into the net. So I just put him through a little. I let him warm up. Let him hit a short ball, and then come in and make a volley and blah blah blah. And then I'm doing this for a couple of minutes, and I'm like, these kids are hitting cross court approach shots, and they're not even good ones, right? So I stopped the drill, and I was like, hey guys, have you ever seen a truck? And they're like, truck? What are you talking about? A truck, right? Because it's, it's not, it's out of context. We're on a tennis court. Why are we talking about trucks, right? I'm like, okay, well, you've seen a truck, right? Well, here's the thing. If you hit your approach shot cross court, you can drive a truck through the place that they can hit the passing shot. So I, made a little impression there, but it's really important to come in on inside out shots and down the line shots, and very rarely, very infrequently try a cross court approach. You can do it. It's okay as like a change up to keep people guessing. That's fine. But yeah, your percentages are not going to be that good. All right. So the next thing, and this is something that Craig O'Shaughnessy talks about, is that after serve and volley, which yields the highest winning percentage of net play. Let me say that again. After serve and volley, which yields the highest winning percentage in net play, okay, comes approach shots. Effective approach shot that he has discovered is the inside out forehand to the backhand, which when I heard that, it kind of blew my mind, because I was still stuck in the conventional wisdom that approach shots needed to be down the line, right? So inside out isn't really truly cross court. And the fact that you can take a more offensive shot, your forehand, and play it to a more defensive shot, their backhand, that yields the highest percentage. I think he said that it's 63% winning percentage for pros, right? So, and then if you go down the line, then it's a little bit less. And if you go down the line from your backhand to your forehand, it's significantly less, unless that's a really nice slice that keeps that ball nice and low. That's going to be really important. All right. So, go inside out, right? And then, hopefully you're going to be able to go cross court. But if you can't, go back down the line. And then the next one would be to go forehand down the line. And so, it's funny here is like, because it's like a mirror image. If I do that, that looks like a forehand down the line. But it looks like a backhand down the line. All right. So wrap your head around that. All right. Anyway, so, that's pretty much the conventional stuff. But one thing that people forget is that if you come forward and you hit a drop shot, right, that you should come in and you should be right about there. Okay. And if you're lucky, if you're fortunate, this player will pop up a ball that you can go forward and volley that way. That'll be the best. Okay. So the smartest shot for this player is to poke the ball down the line. And if they do that well enough, you're not going to volley. But if they don't execute that, then you've got a backhand volley there and it's point over. Now, you don't want to get too close, because probably the second smartest shot for them right there is to lob all the way over you. Right. So you have to respect the lob, and you can't play so close over here that you make it easy for them to hit, a drop shot there. But see, so if you hit a drop shot, you should treat it like it's an approach shot, and you really desperately would love to be in position to volley that ball away for the winner. But you might end up having to cover that. You might have to hit an overhead, but that's still net play. And, if they've got really good touch and they do that, that's fine. But you can get over there and then just poke that there. And then, that's, again, point over. So they're actually the lowest percentage worst shot for them to hit would be to go cross court, because they've left the court wide open. And two trucks could drive through there side by side with somebody standing on top of both of them going. Okay, never mind. All right. So so one of my favorite ones, this is what I love to do. Love, right? Rallies with people and they're hitting the ball, 6 feet over the net, right? Not 6 feet off the ground, 6 feet over the net, because 6 feet off the ground is only 3 foot net clearance. It's not the same. But when you get these really high arcing balls, that's when I like to go, oh, you want to hit it up in the air? All right. And I'll go way up. And then, oh man, while that ball is traveling so slowly there, that's when I like to run up and be standing right about there, just inside the service line. Because the most obvious shot back and the easiest for them to hit is a lob back. So now you're ready mostly for an overhead. But if they're not very bright, they will probably try to pass you. But you have to be careful. If you've put the ball like right into where they can take the ball shoulder high and hit massive top spin passing shot, then you haven't executed very well. So you've got to get that ball, and it's got to bounce above their shoulder for sure, and maybe bouncing over their head so that they're up here doing that. And then they have to lob, and then you knock off the overhead. And that's fun because it's that sneak in play that doesn't get used very much. Now, people used to say that in the late 80s, early 90s, the Swedes were hitting approach shots. They were hitting short angled, heavy top spin approach shots to the side tee, and then coming in that way, coming in there. Wait a second. I'm all switched around. Let's do this again. All right. So yeah, they would hit that, and then they would follow in and shade that way because obviously, wait, you have to be careful of the shot that's going from out here and just lands in. So that's all screwed up. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that part. But it's funny. I kept looking for that, and I was like, when did that ever happen? But it's still something that you can do. You can hit a short angle shot, and when you're doing it best, your ball is landing in the service box, and then you can go forward. But you really have to guard against that ball that's coming from outside the court and is going to only be inside the court on their return when it lands. So that's the first thing you have to look for. You really have to guard that line dramatically. All right. So now when it comes to approaching too, there's one other option I would like to talk about, and that is every once in a while you meet a player who is just so good at creating angles on both sides that it's really fearsome and intimidating, right? And that's when you want to be able to come in and go up the middle of the court, right? The downside of going up the middle of the court is that you don't open up either side for yourself. The huge upside of that is that you take away the other player's angles. So you might end up in a situation where you need to make that work. So you're going to go up the middle. You know that you're going to have a really tough time hitting a winner on your first volley. So that second volley has to keep your first volley has to keep the other player under pressure of time and space. And then you're hoping to get the weak reply and then finish with the next one. So, and this is where it's also important to be able to hit some touch around the net and use some drop volleys or some stop volleys. And, there's some little subtle differences there, but just laying it up soft and, maybe even having like a little chip volley that lands in the service box and the second bounce is right around the service line. That can be very difficult for people because they have to come way forward and lift the ball up. So there's just, the tip of the iceberg of different net play tactics that you can use. And, I hope that you will be involved in reviewing the book. If you would like, there's going to be a special where the ebook will be only 99 cents for 24 hours. So I'll be announcing that soon. And, in conjunction with this, if you want to do some stuff that's going to help you with your volleys now, check out visual training for tennis, because there are a lot of drills and exercises in there that especially help people with their volleying. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. So this week, my high school tennis team finishes their season. So we have our girls team playing today. Even if my girls do get through to the next level of sectional play, our schedule is massively reduced. But I anticipate being on here more, but you can count on me being here every Tuesday right around 10 o'clock. And looks like I got my technical issues solved of weird lighting. But thanks for watching. Please click like and subscribe. And if you really liked it, share it out there. Let people know. Goodbye and have a great day or night, whatever it is you're doing.